Yo, what's going on, guys? Mush back at it with another video. Got a lot to talk about in this video. Monster Hunter World is getting more updates. It looks like a lot of PC players have gotten their hands on it. Somebody from Restera has gotten it, and they've gotten some initial performance impressions. Now, bear in mind, it is a little bit early. I'm sure we're going to get a day one driver, so this performance might improve, but it leaves a lot to be desired from me. So I'll go in depth on that. On top of that, a brand new Steam chat has been launched. I'm sure a lot of you guys noticed. I'm sure that a lot of you guys are turned off by the look of it, but honestly, if you just look at fundamentals and what the new Steam chat brings, I like it a lot. There's a lot of new additions that's just gonna make Steam a more intuitive experience, so that's always good. Nice to see Valve updating Steam because they're not releasing any new video games, so this is at least appreciated. And I do want to round out the video by taking a look at a great Japanese RPG that has just been released. Gotta look out for all of my weeb brothers out there, so I want to mention that it's a part of a long-running franchise. The franchise actually had another game released on PC earlier this year, and it didn't turn out very well, but it looks like this one is a lot better. So more on that at the end of this video. First, let's talk about Monster Hunter World and the fact that it might be the best PC version as far as performance goes. So Restera user Fluffy Quack got his or her hand on the game. Now, they have a very high-end PC, a GTX 1080, an i7-4790K, and 16 gigabytes of RAM. And I don't know how surprising this is, but at the highest settings at 1440p, the game is unable to run at a consistent 60 frames per second. Now, that is highest settings, and that is at 1440p. It looks like at the absolute highest settings, at 1440p, you're looking at 44 frames per second. At the highest setting, except for volumetric set to high, you're getting 50. At just high, you're getting 60 frames per second. At medium, you're getting 65. And low, you're getting 108. And this once again confirms to me that what they had listed on the recommended system requirements, if you guys remember, they listed a GTX 1060, and then they also listed that that was good for 30 frames per second at high settings at 1080p. Well, I constantly mention that high generally doesn't mean the highest settings available. Usually, high is 1 or 2 from the top, and in this case, it is 1 from the top. So with a 1060, as far as the system requirements go, it looks like Monster Hunter World won't even be able to run at the highest settings at 1080p, which is just mind-boggling to me because this game runs on the PS4 and the Xbox One. I know the One X version has a lot of improvements, but is the One X really more powerful than a 1080 or a 1060? Well, the One X might be on par with a 1060, but a 1080 not performing up to par, that is just really disappointing to me. Again, we might get a day one driver that's going to improve performance, but still, that is very, very disappointing. It was noted that one of the options is very taxing, and that is volume rendering quality, so if you drop that, that should improve frame rate greatly. I still want to hold out until the official launch on August 9th, but my worries about this game are getting greater and greater by the week. It seemed like Capcom took their time with the port of this game. I expected it to run really well. I imagined it to be a taxing game, but there's no reason a GTX 1080 shouldn't be able to run this game at 1440p and 60 frames per second, and if those recommended requirements come to fruition and a 1060 is not even playing the game at highest settings, it's playing it at just high and only getting 30 frames per second, well, that is absolutely embarrassing. That should not be the case. A 1060 should be doing far better than that at 1080p, but again, let's wait until any updates and drivers roll out, and then we will make an official judgment there, but initial impressions don't look all too positive. Next up, as you guys probably notice if you're on Steam and if you're on PC, why wouldn't you be on Steam? It's in your Steam client, and it's also in the Steam web browser, and while the look might put you off at first, it's just like whenever YouTube changes their layout. Honestly, it's not as bad as that because we knew this was coming. YouTube would just change the layout out of nowhere, and it would be kind of an odd adjustment. With this new Steam chat, we knew that it had been coming, and it has been rolled out. There are some improvements I've noticed right away. If you have a lot of friends and they're playing a wide variety of games, now they're grouped based on which game they're playing. You can also group them by party, and I keep saying the word group. Well, now there are group chats, so that's very nice. And you'll notice if you send links or pictures to friends or articles or anything like that, it'll actually show up the article, or it'll embed the video in the chat itself, which is fantastic. Little improvements like that I very much appreciate because, again, Valve isn't releasing any new games. They're not doing Half-Life 3, they're not doing Left 4 Dead 3, they're not doing Portal 3, so little improvements to the Steam chat, I can definitely appreciate that. Nice to see Steam becoming a better and better experience, and while I did like the simplistic look of their old chat was a little bit dated, let's be completely honest. While a dated chat service still works fine, but I'm sure for some people, it'll just take a little bit of time to get acclimated to it because it does look a lot different. And lastly, as I mentioned on the top of this video, there was a new JRPG released on Steam, and that is Yis Memories of Syla. Yes, another another Yis game has been released on PC, and now I think every Yis game has seen a release on PC. If you guys don't know, Yis is a long-running JRPG franchise. You play as a silent protagonist, great action combat. There's been 8 mainline Yis games thus far, but they're kind of their own standalone experience, so if you jump right into one of them, you can enjoy the story no problem. This game, I believe, is a remake of Yis 4. It was released on the PlayStation Vita a few years ago, and now it makes its way over to PC. I feel like they got the price right. It's $24.99, 10% discount for you early birds, and you can get it for $22.49. Also, if you guys remember, Yis 8 was released earlier this year. However, NIS did the port of that, Xseed did the port of this, and Xseed has nailed it with all of the Yis ports. Yis 8 was an absolute disaster of a port, so do not worry about Yis Memories of Syla. It should be a good port. They've done a really good job with all of the other Yis ports, so I imagine that is the case here. The one review that is out is very positive as well. So just wanted to give a mention to that. Maybe not a game you'll pick up right away, but at the very least, as always, add it to your wish list. Maybe by the winter sale, it'll see a steeper discount, and you can enjoy the game then. And I have heard that Yis 8 has gotten better since its initial launch. The initial launch was such a disaster, so that's not saying much, but Yis 8's recent Steam reviews have been mostly positive at 75% positive. All time, it is still sitting at mixed at 53%. At some point, I would like that game to be at a working state. NIS just really botched the port on that one, so that is unfortunate. And that game is still sitting at $60. That is insane. But yeah, let's not get to me complaining right now. That is gonna conclude this video, guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. What do you think about Monster Hunter World? The GTX 1080 is not running this game at 1440p 60 FPS. As I speculated before, high settings is not the max settings, so with the recommended requirements listing a 1063GB, saying that that would run the game at 1080p high settings at 30 frames per second, that is very, very worrying to me. Hopefully they were just being conservative on that end, because that would be a shame. Let me know your thoughts on the new Steam chat. I personally really like it. It's gonna take a little bit for me to get used to it, but as far as being feature rich, it is much better than the older, more basic Steam chat. And lastly, for all of you guys that like JRPGs, make sure to add Yis Memories of Syla to your wish list, or even buy the game. $22.49 isn't too bad of a price point. I do think they got it right there, but it seems like people buying games at launch on PC is just getting fewer and fewer. So yeah, I imagine not too many people will be buying it right away, but at some point down the line, I'll definitely be giving it a look. I actually played it on the PlayStation Vita, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I did not complete it, so I'll give it a look on PC when it's a little bit more discounted. That's gonna wrap up this one. If you guys have any requests for future videos, you can leave that in the comments as well, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace out.